Plantas acuáticas en general se sabe muy poquito en Colombia. Hay quienes dicen que los botánicos colombianos no les gusta mojarse los pies. Es un paper que a mí me cambió la vida. Trata de reconstruir un poquito cómo fue la evolución del paisaje en el norte de Sudamérica y propone una hipótesis. Y esa hipótesis es que hace 23 millones de años el norte...
Informative and knowledgeable the lead woman was. She obviously has a master's degree. This is something, an area she grew up in. This is something that she's very passionate about. I thought it came through to the audience in terms of her commitment to discovering what was new there and what was going on there. I think that most people don't really realize that there's such a sort of real-time basis in terms of scientists figuring out what's going on in terms of nature and the natural world, and we kind of think that we have these things figured out, but there are truly a lot of things that are still completely mysterious, a lot of areas that are not really being researched by human beings and that are difficult to follow in, and obviously an ever-changing biodiversity dynamic that creates surprising situations in which you're not quite sure what you're going to find there. I thought the piece sort of managed to encompass all of those dynamics within its short time frame and sort of reflecting the journey from a very sort of personal point of view of this woman. So I thought it was well done. The images were very beautiful of the area. I thought it had a great sort of meditative feel to it throughout the piece that helped contribute to it. And it just felt like an informative and a passionate piece of work, which is why I felt like it ended up being compelling.
It's really amazing how Ana Maria's research is so groundbreaking. She's collecting all these plants, and the fact that it's so unresearched in her area and her country that a lot of the plants that she's pulling up, she's recording them for the first time in her area, which is pretty amazing that we're in 2023 now and there's plants still being recorded in this location. So it was really cool to see that she's doing this groundbreaking research. And I thought just how much information she was able to get from these little plants was really amazing. Just being able to pretty much see from these plants when these rivers were formed based on the diversification of the plants in different rivers was really cool. And I think, I'm not a science-brained person, but I think that this documentary explained everything really well and very clearly so that everyone could understand, this complex research that she was doing, which I thought was really well done. Like by the end of it, I understood perfectly what she was saying about how she got all this information from these plants and how it really showed her information from the beginnings of when these rivers were formed and when they separated from each other, which I thought was really cool. So I thought this documentary was really well done. It also had some great shots of her and her environment, doing this research.
I learned so much from the lead scientist about what it takes to conduct a scientific study, notably plants that grow in flowing rivers. The water footage was so beautiful and refreshing, lots of bubbles and plant life in the water. I believe the study will make a big difference for people in the area who are considering building infrastructure. They might now pause on the project. The fanciful musical pieces below a lot of the film and the bubbling water sounds were awesome. I like that she did a lot of narration to recount her study and her plans for the future.
Here we learn about plants that live in rivers in Colombia and how they help researchers identify how evolution took place and understand these species' behaviors and survival methods. It is very important to have people passionate about this type of research so we can be prepared to preserve nature and help restore, most importantly, everything we've already disrupted, sometimes with no returning, no point in even trying. Kudos to this researcher and all the team that has gathered information.
I loved the music, I loved the cinematography, and I also loved the educational feel that it had, just learning more about nature itself and all the different plants that we see, all their different functions. It's definitely something I feel like we take advantage of, where like day to day you see plants, but you don't really pay attention to them. And so just learning more and seeing how they function, how they work, it's all very fascinating.
For instance, you've got the symbiotic relationship between the river and the plants. And you've also got like how the river impacts the area around it. Everything seems to be connected. And it just kind of gives you a whole new appreciation for the complexity of the natural world, our place in it, and it kind of gives you a real appreciation for people like in the film who are trying to study it and figure out how everything came to be, how this stuff works. So it's really fascinating. But also, what was interesting is not just everything is connected in space, but also across time. It's amazing to see like how these plants, the rocks, etc., all that stuff carry so much history that you can reach back millennia by studying them. That just reinforces again like how complex and astonishing the world really is.
This had some amazing cinematography in it. I loved it. I also thought that it was really fascinating to see what they were doing and how they were doing it. The cinematography, all of it was great, including the music. This was very educational. It was very engaging, and it was just absolutely fascinating. I liked it.